Hey guys, Jack Cypher here. Today we're going to be discussing how powerful is Kakuzu as we go over his jutsus, stats, and feats, and analyze just how strong this controversial figure is. And maybe as a bonus at the end, I'll go into my thoughts on him versus Pain. But like always, let's start by deciphering his arsenal of abilities. Let's start with his core ability, and honestly, probably his most impressive. His Earth Spear, Iron Skin, or Diamond Skin. Fans use many different names for it, but basically the ability to harden his skin for offensive and defensive purposes. When he activates this jutsu, he pretty much becomes immune to any physical attack. However, this brings up the jutsu's greatest flaw, the weakness to lightning style jutsu. Because this diamond skin jutsu is just a regular earth style technique, it presents itself with the usual elemental jutsu weaknesses. If this technique was a Keki Genkai instead, it would be significantly more powerful and potentially be one of the strongest techniques in the show. Now, his other main form of fighting is a forbidden jutsu called the Earth Grudge Fear, a jutsu that he stole from the hidden waterfall village. The jutsu allows Kakuzu to steal up to 4 extra hearts, storing them inside his own body and giving him access to their chakra natures, and granting him extra lives. You can tell that Kakuzu was a big fan of Mario. Not only does this jutsu grant extra lives and chakra natures, but it also makes Kakuzu's body be composed of these tendrils, threads, tentacle-like things. For this video, we'll be calling them threads. In his base form, he can use these threads to disattach and propel his arms at his enemies to attack and restrain them from a distance. The greatest strength of this forbidden jutsu, though, is that Kakuzu can have these stolen hearts emerge from his body in the shape of creatures made out of the threads that we were just talking about. These creatures are all decorated with masks, and each creature can use one nature affinity. The Fire Mask creature can use a massive AoE jutsu called the Searing Migraine, which essentially is a giant wave or blast of fire. The Lightning Mask can use a jutsu called False Darkness, which shoots out beams of lightning at the opponent. This attack was so strong that Kakashi needed to use 2 lightning blades to be able to block it. The Wind Mask has a technique called Pressure Damage, which is capable of destroying large amounts of a forest, and when this technique is used in conjunction with his partner Hidan, it forms a combination attack that apparently has never been survived, up until Kakashi came along at least. There's also a Water Mask, but this was prematurely destroyed after Kakashi struck Kakuzu with a lightning blade. Kakuzu can also merge these creatures together, like when he combines the Wind and Fire Masks to enhance his already powerful Fire-style jutsu. The combination of both elements are capable enough to overcome their initial weakness to Water-style. Kakuzu can also merge these creatures into his own body, transforming himself into a monster made out of these threads. In this form, his base stats are said to be enhanced, and he can utilize the chakra natures of the creatures that merged with him. But question for all you guys, can Kakuzu use all 5 chakra natures in his base form? Because obviously he has those hearts inside of him, so would that mean that he could actually utilize them in his base form? Or does he need to be merged with these creatures to be able to activate them? Let me all know down in the comments what you guys think about that. Now that we've gone over his arsenal, let's look at his stats and feats. Now the first thing I want to bring up is him battling Hashirama. This gets blown way out of proportion. Without knowing what actually happened, this really should not be used in terms of scaling them. It's way too ambiguous. We don't know if Kakuzu was literally one-shotted, or if Hashirama was humouring him and they had a little bit of a back and forth. We just don't know, which means we can't use it as an argument for Kakuzu being really powerful. The reason this achievement should be shouted out, though, has more to do with how it shows how old and experienced Kakuzu is, rather than necessarily how powerful he is. Now, he plays a small part in the fight outside the collection office, but I'm not going to really talk about that because there's nothing much from Kakuzu that's all that impressive. He literally beats up an injured Asuma, captures 2 Chunin, and shows off his hardening ability. That's pretty much it. What I do want to talk about, though, before we get into his main fight, is his clash with the Two Tails. Now, in all honesty, this isn't that impressive either. All we see from Kakuzu here is that he stops the Two Tails' paw, and while that's a decent feat, it's not extraordinary. We're not even sure if Kakuzu is the one to actually take Yugito out. With the way that Hidan has stabbed himself in his ritual circle after the fight, that leads me to believe that Hidan was the one to actually take her out. There's also the fact that Gamabunta was powerful enough to contend with Shukaku. Even Tobi and Deidara were able to take out the Three Tails without any repercussions. Just going to show that the bottom-ranked tail beasts can be handled without too much of an issue, from at least really high-class ninja. Now, despite all that, it's still a pretty decent strength feat, especially given the time that he did it, before powers started getting really crazy in Naruto. Now, let's look at his fight with Kakashi, Team 10, and Naruto. First off, him getting tapped by Kakashi before the fight even really started isn't good at all. While it's understandable that the lightning blade got through his thickened skin, the fact that he wasn't even able to sense Kakashi is a little bit weird and anticlimactic. However, Kakuzu does have some decent defense feats shown here in this fight. He takes a paper bomb and a spiked human boulder attack from Choji without sustaining a single scratch. While it's not a crazy feat, it's still a really, really good defensive feat. People like to talk about his speed feat in appearing between Hidan and Kakashi and proceeding to kick Kakashi. And it is an impressive speed feat, but not to the level that some people hype it up to be, at least in my opinion. Kakashi was most likely wasn't going his fastest, considering that Hidan was immobilized, and he was caught completely off guard. The more impressive feat in this scenario, I reckon, is actually from strength, because Kakuzu kicks Kakashi through a dozen massive trees. That's insanely impressive from just one kick. I mean, to me, that's Tsunade levels of power, and something that doesn't really get talked about enough. Now, I'll be straight with you guys. Kakuzu is such a weird character because he doesn't actually have that many impressive feats. However, despite that, he should be low-diffing Zetsu, Hidan, Konan, and most impressively Sasori. Now, I do know how strong Sasori is, but thanks to Kakuzu's defenses and his massive AoE attacks, he's a complete horrible matchup for Sasori. And honestly, in those matches I just listed, his win con for most of them is just shitting out massive AoE attacks. Those shinobi I just mentioned just don't have many ways to stop that, and that's true for most shinobi in Naruto. And if he was fighting some, random ninja and they had some way to get around those gigantic ninjutsu attacks, he also has his Tsunade-level strength to take you out in close combat, not to mention pretty impressive speed to back up his strength, and one of the best defenses in the series. This is what I mean about Kakuzu. On paper, he looks really imposing, but his feats just aren't all that impressive to talk about compared to the other Akatsuki members. Now, a quick theory for you all. What happens if Kakuzu absorbed the heart of someone with a Kekkei Genkai, like an Uchiha, or someone with Ice Style? Would that therefore allow Kakuzu to use those Kekkei Genkai? If so, Kakuzu has the potential to be one of the strongest characters in the series. On the premise of how the Earth Grudge Sphere works, I could actually see him being able to do it, But I do reckon that Kishimoto didn't want to make him too powerful, so he made it only elemental ninjutsu. But still, it's just something to think about. Now, like promised, let's look at his fight with Pain. Pain should be low diffing this. Even if Kakuzu starts the fight off with his chakra masks out, firing huge elemental jutsu, Pain could literally just absorb it and then fire off an almighty push. Or even if he wanted to just use a bit of chakra, he could just forget the Praetor Path and use a massive almighty push to negate all the jutsu coming his way, as well as the chakra masks and Kakuzu himself. Kakuzu also isn't immune to the human path or Praetor Path if they manage to get a hold of him. It's just such a massive, massive stomp that it's not even funny. For me, Kakuzu sits in that mid-tier of the Akatsuki members. But compared to the top 3, it's not even a fight at all. But guys, that's going to wrap this video up. If you've liked today's video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know down in the comments what you all think about Kakuzu. Like always, I've been Jack Cypher. Cypher out.